Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make a recipe that I came across, which has become one of my favorite YouTube channels now. We'll put a link to that in the description, wherever, guys. We'll let Wade figure that out. So the YouTuber called this Pizza Cobbler. And I can see why, because in a lot of ways it looks like a cobbler. Pizza Casserole, Pizza Cobbler, we'll use her name, Pizza Cobbler, okay? It looks delicious. This is the first time we're making it. I changed it a little bit, a couple of ingredients I changed just to, cater it to a little bit more to our taste. But anyway, the gist of it is, this is kind of like a meat lover's pizza, okay? So the first thing we need, and we're going to get that in the pot before we talk about the other things, is I've got a half a pound of sweet Italian sausage and a half a pound of lean ground beef. Now, so it was 93.7. Usually I would do 85.15, but because the sausage has got a lot more fat in it, I used a leaner cut of beef, all right? So anyway, let's get this sausage in our pan. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in there. Probably not necessary, but just so that initially my sausage doesn't stick. We are going to need the olive oil for the topping. So I've got my pan heated. And I'll put that in there and get the sausage cooking because that's going to take longer than the hamburger. All right, while we're letting that do its thing, we'll talk about the rest of the ingredients. So this is a kind of a pizzeria type thing. So of course we need some red sauce. Now, normally I would use the pizza sauce for whenever I make anything like this, but because it's got so many other flavors in it, I chose to go with just a jar red sauce, okay? In the original recipe, she calls for 2 cups of mozzarella. I changed that to, the Italian 5 cheese. All right, there's 2 cups. It's got it's got mozzarella, provolone, Parmesan, Asiago, and Romano. But you can use whatever you'd like. Could even use a cheddar or any nice shredded cheese, all right? And we need an onion. So we're just going to rough chop our onion. We don't need to do anything fancy with this because it's going to fry down. I believe in the original recipe, she used a half. We're going to use a whole small. This is a sweet Vidalia onion. All right. And then it calls for some pepperoni. I love pepperoni. I try not to eat that much of it because, as they say, these cured meats aren't that good for you. So let's give this a little turn. All right, and then the pepperoni, I'm just going to take it, cut it in half, and half again, just so that we get a little bit more distribution. I've got, I think, like 12 slices of pepperoni here. Of course, we're going to need some salt and pepper. We need some oregano. Oop, don't go away. We need some oregano. We got some garlic, granulated garlic. That's for the inside part of our pizza. For the topping, we need a cup of all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, and we need a little bit of olive oil in there, a little bit of salt and pepper. We'll do that as we go in it, and some Parmesan cheese I've got. All right. So of course, because we've got pork in here, but we can throw our beef in now. And we can go ahead and add our carrots in. See, Wade wasn't paying attention. What are you looking down at?
I'm looking to see if I can find some carrots.
Ask a silly question, right? All right, guys. Since you don't need to sit here and watch me fry this up, we'll get this all nice and browned, and we'll be back in a little while and finish it up. All right, guys, our ground beef and sausage is all nicely browned. Now, I've told you before, if you brown meat properly, you're not going to have to drain it. So you can see I really have no fat left in the bottom of the pan. We're getting some nice caramelization on the bottom there. All right, I'm going to turn my heat down just a bit. All right, we're going to just lightly salt and pepper. That's to taste. Maybe a couple pinches. All right, we can throw our little pepperonis in there. Get them all incorporated. Oh, I didn't mention when we were going over the ingredients, we need a cup of milk. So that's what that is over there, a cup of milk. Yes, in a dry measuring cup, because I've used all my liquid measuring cups up. All right. We're going to need the salt, but we don't need the pepper anymore, so we can put that over there. And we got our tomato sauce. And we're just really heating this through now. And get everything nice mixed up and scrape off a little bit of those delicious brown bits. I still got a little sauce in there. I'm going to get it all out. Yummy. And that's done. We can put this aside. Let me wipe up my mess here. Shut off our heat. That looks good enough to eat. We can move our heat source over a bit. And of course, we need a casserole pan. All right, so for our topping. Now, in her recipe, she calls for half a teaspoon of salt in the flour, so we're going to put it in. I don't know if I've showed you guys this before, but there's a beautiful copper place up in Portland, Maine, where our nephew Matthew works. Wade bought this for me. It's just solid copper. I love them. Okay, we don't need any more salt. Let's mix our salt into our flour. Now, this is even kind of a, it's low carb in the sense that, yes, we're using some all-purpose flour, but it's not the main part of the dish, but it's just the topping, which, you're not going to eat all of the topping, right? I've got our 2 eggs, and I've mixed up a bit. This is going to be very interesting how this cooks up and how it tastes. Our milk. And we want to stir that till it's smooth. And we need a tablespoon of good extra virgin olive oil in here. And mix until smooth using a whisk. And of course, smooth meaning there's no lumps. That looks pretty good. It should be a bit runny like this because we're going to pour this once we get it all together, all over the top. That looks good to me. You don't need to grease this. Of course, I threw my spatula away, didn't I? Of course I did. Be right back. So we don't need to grease the bottom of this because there's more than enough fat in the mixture. All right, and then we just want to spread that out into an even layer. This is a 9 by 13. Where I originally got the recipe from, and she had a much nicer baking dish than I have here. It was really fancy and pretty, but Wade won't let me spend any money for fancy stuff. All right, so just spread it out into a layer. Get every bit in there, get in there. All right, then we got our cheese, and we're going to take our whole 2 cups of cheese and sprinkle it along the top. Kind of looks like just like a pizza, doesn't it? It smells good. I know I've probably mentioned this in a couple of our videos, but Wade is sniffing and coughing because he's got a little cold. Poor thing. All right, that looks nicely spread out. So, like I mentioned earlier, we need this. Oh, and I mentioned it earlier, we've got our oven preheated to 350 degrees. And we're just gonna pour this over the top. Yum. And I don't even think you necessarily need to spread it anymore, because cobbler you always see little bits and pieces. But then we're going to sprinkle our half a cup of Parmesan cheese over this, and this is going to take between 40 and 45 minutes to bake. As always, I'll set a timer for the maximum amount of time, and I'll check it about 40 minutes before the 45 is up. Let's get it in the oven. Oop, I forgot to put the light on. All right, so near the rack. Okay, set a timer for 45 minutes.
Sure, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Starting now.
And it's starting now. 44, 55, 54, 52. We'll see you in about 44 minutes. Oh, guys, I had to take it out of the oven. We're only in there for about 30 seconds. Forgot one little step here. We got some dried oregano. And you can do this before you put your Parmesan on top, but give it that little pizza flavor. And I'm going to probably say that's about half a teaspoon. That it will be in the recipe. And then some garlic powder. All right. And I'm going to get it back in the oven. So if you're watching this and you don't see this mistake till the end, follow the recipe. The written recipe, it will say when to put it in. All right, we'll start our timer again. Okay, set a timer for 45 minutes.
Okay, 45 minutes. Starting now.
Starting now. And I promise we'll see you in 45 minutes this next time. Bye. Okay, I checked it at 40 minutes. I thought I needed a little bit longer, so I left it in for the full 45. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh. Ooh, that looks delicious. Wow. Okay, I cannot wait to eat this. Before I was just curious. Now, I would say that we let to cool that down. We need to let that cool down a good 5-10 minutes. So it'll be just in time for dinner. All right. See you guys when we sit down to eat. Okay, guys. Here we are. Dinner time with our new to us. I've never made this before. Our pizza cobbler or pizza casserole. It looks delicious. It smells delicious. It almost looks like a stuffed pizza.
Yeah.
Let's dig in. I'm dying to try this crust or topping. I'm gonna try to get a piece of that in there. I did let it cool for a good 10 minutes.
Wow.
That's
good.
Really good. That's delicious.
Oh, it is.
It doesn't taste exactly like pizza, but that topping is delicious. It has the consistency of like the middle part of the pizza crust.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I would
Almost
definitely
like
say.
a pizza roll or something.
Yeah. Like a calzone or something.
Yeah.
I would definitely give this a 10 and would definitely make this again.
Very definitely.
All right, that's
good.
all I have to say.
I got a mouthful of food. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching our video, having supper with us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Definitely try this one. Ciao.
Bye.